Information and Broadcasting, Shri Anurag Singh Thakur. And she recently authored her first book, Why Can't Elephants Be Read, which is making waves globally. So I would like to invite Vani on the stage.
Thank you, Ajay. Good evening, everybody.
So I would like to have my first question with Vani. Your career spans across various fields, from acting and producing to socio-political activism. How do you balance these different roles? And do they inform each other in any way?
Thank you so much for that question. It almost encapsulates my whole life till now. I think talking about society and the influence society has on my work is a story that most artists in India will have. At the end of the day, you have to feel, involved, and you have to feel that you're a part of a larger narrative. Only then you can deliver as an artist. So whether you're an actor or whether you're producing films or whether you're writing, it all, amalgamates together as a collaboration. Also, India is a land of storytellers. We call them Kathavachaks. And every nook and corner of India is so many millions, billions, thousands of stories. And it's only in those stories do we find our own lives that are reflected. So I think my work is not separate, is not devoid, or is not, it's not something else that I don't feel influenced with. They are all entwined with each other. They are very together.
And is that your first book, Vani?
Yes. So throughout my theatre days and my work as an actor and a theatre person, we used to devise a lot of scripts and devise a lot of stories. So I wrote all of those, and some of them also came out as scripts. But as an author, as a solo author, yes, this is my first book.
Beautiful. So I go on to the next question. Transitioning from the world of film and activism to writing a children's book is quite a shift. What motivated you to write? Why can't elephants be read? And what message do you have to these young readers, and what will they take from it?
Very interesting question. In fact, I think my whole journey as a writer has been about the work that I have done over the years with children. At the National School of Drama, after I finished my own education as an actor, I worked with children consciously because I always felt that children are only fed with fantasy. Today also we talk about frozen castles, we talk about kings, queens, princesses, princes, but we don't look at their everyday life. So one of the last plays I did before I got out of drama school was called Lal Lal Hathi, which means a red, red elephant. And that had a very deep influence on my work. It almost became my brand. People like Nawazuddin Siddiqui, who were my senior and is a famous actor from India, even today on his phone, he's not written Vani Tripathi. One day he was shooting for a project and I was there on the set and he said, why don't you dial my number? I said, I'm right in front of you. He said, dial, no, let's see. And the moment I dialed the number, Lal Hathi, red elephant, was flashing on his phone. So it became like an identity of mine. And I think that play had a lot to say about the inner world of children. It was about a little boy who has an imaginary friend who is a red elephant, and nobody recognizes the fact that an elephant can be red. He's very bad in mostly all academics, but he's very good in art. So one day, he goes and paints a red elephant in the art class. Now, when the teacher sees the red elephant, the teacher says, I have had enough of your imaginative nonsense. I accept everything, but elephants have to be either gray or black, or they are sometimes white. So the child rages a polite but a firm debate with the teacher where he says, if your elephants are black, gray and white and I accept them, my elephant is red, what's your problem with that? And on that moment, I used to just pop out of a big school bag and I used to wear a red velvet costume. And all the children used to scream with excitement the moment they used to see me. So I think the play was about creating consciousness for the inner world of children, for children who are imaginative, but what does a school do? It's all about a blackboard, it's all about a book, it's all about a desk, it's all about a tiffin box, it's all about a square. It's all a box. Everything is a box. How do you unbox that? So the elephant being red was a metaphor for imagination and creative realities. So that is one of the reasons. The other reason is very personal. My little daughter was 2.5 years old when the whole world was facing the pandemic, COVID. And I had a mother who was bedridden, and I'm the only child. So I had to look after my mother, and I had to choose between looking after a 2.5-year-old kid and my own mum. And my husband took my daughter away where my in-laws were to Singapore, and Singapore shut down in the pandemic. So for 2 long years, I could not see my daughter. And what you see on the front page of the book is my daughter. This is her story. We call her Akku. And this is Akku's story. These 12 stories are 12 characters of a family. And we are sitting in the UAE where family is so important. Families bring up children. We say it takes a whole village to bring up a child. So the 12 people of this family kept their lives on hold to bring up my dear little daughter Akshara, lovingly called Akku. So this is her world, and it's real time. It's like a wide-eyed amazement of a child at the adult world during the pandemic. And the book is not morose. It's not only talking about death or disease. It's talking about how hilarious she thinks people are wearing masks, and she thinks, why am I seeing only the eyes? Why can't I see the face? Why can't I see the smile? The joyous inquiry and the questions of a child, that is what this book is. So that is one of the reasons, one personal and one professional, for writing the book.
And how is she reacting to it? Like,
Oh, I thought...
And she's 5 now, right?
Yeah, now she just turned 6.
6, okay.
I had not revealed her that I'm writing a book. And I thought when the book is ready, I will probably show it to her, because all the illustrations in the book are also real people. They exactly look the way they are in real life. And full marks to my illustrator. He encapsulated it. He exactly saw it the way he saw it in a photograph. So Akku at 2.5 used to have 2 little pigtails, and this is exactly how she looked. So when she saw the book, it was an accident. In a very large tote bag I was carrying, you're a big publisher, you know, a dummy copy of the book. It had come for proofreading. She mostly doesn't put her hand inside my bag. But that day, some candy which she wanted to eat was in my bag. I said, Akku, go and take it. I totally forgot. And she takes out the book, and she looks at me. Then she looks at the book, and then she again looks at herself, and she says, Mama, this is me. And I said, oh my God, the cat is out of the bag. The secret is out. Akku knows that there is a book. So she was full of joy. Just now, remember when we were coming, I said, in 1 hour, Akku, I'm going to tell your tale. And she said, yay! And she was very happy about it. So I think it's been a very interesting journey as she has grown older, and as children grow older. They also look back at the story. So this is like a testimony of time. I would want her, now she's 6, when she's 8, when she's 10, how she responds to all these amazing characters of her own family and how she responds to the book. But right now, she's very excited.
Amazing. So you said, like, you were away from your daughter for 2 years.
Yeah.
And, what made you, like you said, like, it's the character which is a daughter. And when you were writing, you had something in mind before? Or just one fine day you said, okay, let me write about, since I'm missing her, so I would like to write something about her.
Yeah, you know, Ajay, you are a brilliant father, and one of your productions is right here. Vedant is sitting right here, who now himself, is entering into the world of publishing in a big way. We actually live many lives through our children. You know what we do? We are resisting our parents when we are growing up, thinking that, oh, what is it? Mama is always telling me, don't do this, don't do that. But then when we become parents, it is then that we start realizing what really parenting means, what it means to be a mother, what it means to be a father. So for me, writing this book was preventing myself from an emotional meltdown every day. I mean, she was so little that on a video call, she was 2.5. She used to think, my mother is trapped in some kind of a device. And we live in a large house in Singapore. So what she would do, she would go up the stairs of the duplex house and look for me upstairs thinking, Mama is hiding somewhere and she's talking to me. So it was quite traumatic. So the first few months, I used to see her on mute. So writing this book was also pouring out my own self. Frankly, I never thought it is going to be published. I never wrote it that it should be published. Full marks to my lovely publisher, Trisha Niyogi, who during the pandemic, after a lockdown, came to have a cup of tea with me. She said, Vani, what do you do? Because she knew that I was looking after my mum. And I was day and night with her. I said, well, nothing, I just scribble something. So she said, what are you scribbling? I said, I have no idea what I'm scribbling. I'm just writing Akku, things about Akku, my daughter. She said, can I see it? So I said, rubbish. Nobody is going to read it. Don't even. She said, that is not upon you. I'm a publisher. Give it to me. I very reluctantly picked up those pages. You know, it's like how many people you've discovered, Ajay, as a publisher. And lo and behold, this book happened. So for me, it was just that journey of missing my daughter. And it is like a thank you, a big thank you to these 12 beautiful people who kept their lives on hold because the mother was away from a little child.
Amazing. That's actually a story. It could be a film, the way you're describing the whole story, you know.
Yeah.
I wish there's a film coming up soon. Okay. So how do you see storytelling, whether through film or literature, as a tool for social change and empowerment, especially for marginalized communities?
It's a very good question, and I think the topic of the book fair this time is culture, motivation, and inspiration. I think each culture in its own capacity has tremendous inspiration to give to the generation next. The kind of families we are in the UAE, very much like how we are in India. We belong to families which are strong. Our values, our virtues is culturally very strong. So I think all stories, whether personal or whether from a collective, are stories of social change. The point is that we should write them enough. We should write them enough in time that they are read by the younger generation. And also we should write them because we can only share our experience and make it richer. Our own lives become enriched when we share. So I think nothing more than stories can be vehicles of social change. I think that is the biggest example of how we can tell stories and inspire ourselves and a society along with us.
So, you know, since your background is theater and films, so just tell us, if you imagine yourself, Akku, for a moment, what colorful creature would you like to encounter on your next adventure and why?
On that note, I should actually read a chapter out of the book because that is her favorite chapter. And all throughout all the launches of the book all over the world. By the way, this is the 4th country we are launching the book today. We started in India, then it traveled to London, then it went to Singapore, and now today we are in Abu Dhabi. So thank you so much to the Abu Dhabi Book Fair for giving us the opportunity. This chapter is called I Love Art. And a famous actor from India, who's also like a guru to me in cinema, Paresh Rawalji, chose this. And when you will hear the chapter, you will realize why he chose this. I love art. So one of the things I absolutely love is a large, big chart paper where I can go mad with colors. Now that scribbling is slowly turning into shapes and patterns. A monkey can have a brown tail. I know that now. A tiger can have black stripes within the yellow. Remember, for children, it is very difficult to keep to the line and draw within it and color within it. It's a big deal. And then we go on saying, don't spill colors, don't spill colors. So, you know, she's almost describing it. This is how Akku describes. I can now color within the yellow and the black, which means I've gotten symmetry. I know that, but you know what I'm struggling with is a parrot, which is multicolored. Now, don't you laugh at me. There is a fascinating story that Mama used to tell me about a monkey called Chintu, who wanted to steal the red cap of a passerby. He would throw stones and fruit at that person and carry off the little cap. Similar things are happening around me. I'm going crazy with colors. So that's how Akku looks when she paints. That's exactly how she paints. She puts a big piece of chart paper on the ground and then she's scribbling, constantly coloring. I actually like to steal the color one from the other. I'm not satisfied with just a yellow and an orange. When I mix them together, a brand new color emerges, and that is the fun part. I've become a little better with actually putting color inside the drawing, but you know, sometimes it still spills outside. But slowly, I'm learning to color within the line or inside the circle and keep it inside the border of a drawing. I like to draw various things. It's not just circles and shapes and animals. I love to draw the window in my room. There are so many trees outside. One thing Mama used to say while feeding me when I was little, building, 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 building. I never understood what that meant, but today when I look outside my window, there are big buildings outside. The moment I look outside at those buildings, I feel like drawing them. I'm also trying to decide what a non-red Mickey Mouse can mean. A red elephant? What a red elephant can mean? It's a fascinating story that Mama once told me. So that's the red elephant. It was actually a play in which she acted when she was working at the National School of Drama. The story was about a red elephant. There was a little boy who was very good in art class. One day he went to an art class, drew a red elephant. He failed in the art class. The art teacher told him, how can the elephant be red? They are gray, black, or they are white. But the little boy argued, no, my elephant is red. And the moment he said his elephant is red, there were various other children in class who just started to say, my elephant is green, my elephant is yellow. No, my elephant is blue. This baffled the teacher. It took a while for the teacher to understand that all of us can have an imaginary friend who can actually be an elephant. And that friend might really not be the color that the world sees him as. They belong to just you. You are the ones to communicate with those little creatures, animals, trees, or whoever they are. Since they are a part of your own being, they are a part of your imagination, they take the shape and the color of your imagination. The story of the red elephant has always stayed with me. And Mama still sings that song. La, 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 hathi hu main. That was the opening song of the play. La, 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 hathi hu main. This is a song from the play she acted in. And Mama says the moment the elephant used to come alive in a red velvet dress, the children would immediately start clapping. So I'm breaking those rules these days. I'm trying to paint a green cat or a blue cow. Well, what is so wonderful to me is what is close to me, and that's most precious to me. So remember one thing, never lose your imagination, because before you know, there'll be other people who will start defining it for you. So you know now what is Akku's favorite, the red elephant.
You all know now, actually. Yeah. Well done, actually, Vani. It's really impressive the way you write as well. It's when you were narrating the whole story, it was so visual, as if there's some film going on in front of me. So it was quite nice, actually. So you should write more, you know.
Sure,
So is there a
thank you.
sequel- is there a
And
sequel
coming
coming
from
up?
one of the most formidable publishers of India, that's quite a treat for me that he's saying this.
So is there any sequel coming to this book?
Yes, I'm working on, there's a cliffhanger I don't want to give away. I want all my friends here to pick up the book. It ends on a certain note, and the sequel will start the story from exactly what the last story is.
Beautiful. Okay, so my next question, if you could bring one Akku's imagination creations to life, which one would it be and why?
Well, she is so imaginative. The other day, we live in Singapore now these days. So there is a very big food court outside the big condominium in which we live. And from her childhood, we've told her about sea creatures like crabs and fish and, all kinds of things, which you can see in the ocean or, in the river. So the other day, in a large tub, she saw one crab. And she suddenly looked at the crab and she said, "What is this thing doing here? This should be floating in the ocean." And before I could tell her that this is going to be fried up and being gobbled up by somebody, she told me a tale of a little crab, who went into a little pond out of the ocean and what happened. So there is no dearth of creatures, but I still think she is into her phase where she's constantly trying to look at the environment around her. So right now, I think a polar bear or a penguin will be the most important thing that she would say, "Oh, can we go meet a penguin, Mama? Can we go meet a penguin now?" So every phase of learning has one very interesting character. And each of those phases, those characters are important.
Wow. Back to Aku. Uh, is elephant her favorite animal?
Absolutely. And the other day we went to the zoo and it was written the Indian elephant. So she said, "Wow, in Singapore there is an Indian elephant." And there was a baby elephant. I think it was a she elephant, mama elephant with a baby. And she stood there for the longest time trying to just look at this beautiful, affectionate interaction. The little baby elephant was putting his trunk around a mama's legs, and the mama was, putting a big trunk around his face. And, it was like almost life, human emotion is being replicated by, the mother and the baby elephant. Yes, the elephants are a very big part of her life right now.
And Vani, since we're talking about your book and the theater background, why don't you tell us something about your theater background? Because I'm sure this writing has come from theater, because you're from the theater school. And what are the points which you got while during learning this theater those days? Have you incorporated some points from there, what you learned in those days, and then does it help you at all in any way?
Good question. The final thing I have written in the book where the author's speak ends is, I say that children are those gurus who save us from perils of adulthood. The problem is that we are so busy growing up, becoming adults, we forget our childhood, we forget innocence. And we often forget that everything that we become in adult life is exactly the part that we lived in our childhood, the formative years of our life. That's why we say, in Hindi, "Poot ke paun palne mein," that you know a little child from the cradle to which he or she belongs, right? So I think the most important thing that children have taught me is, one, to be honestly inquiring about life, to be honestly inquiring about the kind of people we are. And more than that, the most important thing is no barricades before a thought. So adults are like, now this is very embarrassing. Now he or she is asking something. They don't have any of these adage. They will exactly inquire, ask you innocently the thing the way they see it. So this pristineness of life, the way we see, and I think whatever culture may be, children remain innocent and pure to their existence wherever they are. So the most they have taught me, and my whole theater experience of working with children, as an adult performing for children and as an adult performing with children, I think they are the best gurus, the best teachers we can ever have.
So, if you imagine yourself as a toddler, not imagine like when you were a toddler, and when you see Akku as a toddler, so do you see yourself in her, or this generation is totally changed?
No, I see a lot of the storytelling part. She loves stories. Every night we end with a book. Every night before bedtime we read a book. There are days when she reads a story to me instead of me reading to her, which is such an important part, of growing up and learning and understanding. But I think the Gen Next, the Gen Z as it's called, is very, very sharp. The kind of environment they have, I mean, the kind of things that they see, we did not have those kind of things. There was nothing called YouTube. There was nothing called social media. There was nothing called digital neon boards screaming about things of various kinds. They were not something like digital books. There was no Kindle. And there were not those sensory books which you see, which is amazing. I mean, we are sitting in the middle of a book fair, and there must be so much children's literature of all kind within this premises. So I think that is very progressive because they learn so much more so early. But what remains to be seen is, does this early exposure make them exposed to things very fast? Do they learn to value that? This is what we will have to see. Right now, she's in a very innocent phase. She's just turned 6. And I think that is the most interesting phase where she started asking so many questions. Day before yesterday, before coming away to Abu Dhabi, we went to see a classical Indian dance drama, a big, sort of epic performance which came from all the way from Chennai. Kalakshetra is one of the biggest. So she had never seen the story of this epic storytelling before. It had Lord Krishna and it had various kinds of, characters. So every 2 minutes she was asking me, why is this messenger standing here? Why has he got, why is... So even response to stimulus, as we say. She's seeing something, she's excited about it, and there's immediately a question she shoots back. I think that is what is very interesting in this generation. They don't wait, and they don't ponder, and they don't do, hundreds of thoughts within them. They just say it. They'll immediately ask a question. I think that is the new normal. And also, I think we as adults have also exposed them. The pandemic also exposed them to many more. There was no e-learning mostly before that. There was nothing called online school or online classes. That's a new normal, which is a challenge that when you scream screen time to them, they say, but the class was happening online. What kind of screen time are you talking about? I think the most important thing is that we have to inspire them by practicing what we preach. We can't go on screaming, don't see digital screens, don't see TV, don't pick up my phone, when all they see is an adult who's constantly jabbering on the phone. The child will turn around and say, you don't even go to that king's throne in the morning, right? You don't even go to the most important thing that you're supposed to do in the morning without the gadget. Which means the observation the child has, you cannot start preaching things which you don't practice as adults. It's an absolute equal responsibility. Whatever we tell them, we should be practicing it. Otherwise, it's a lost cause.
Like there are a lot of distractions, like you mentioned about all the e-gadgets and all like that. So what one thing which you feel which will motivate kids to read? Because there's so many distractions, like we are always on the phone, they observe their parents, and then what exactly we should do as a parent so that they can go back to reading physical book?
Very nice question. And we are again in the middle of a large book fair, this world of books. I think the first thing is, what is appealing to the eye, right? A lot of people will say, why should a children's book be colorful? Actually, this book is not just a children's book. It's also equally for young adults and young parents. But why is the cover, we say in Hindi, na, mazmoon bata sakta hai ki andar kya hai. It is the introduction of the front which will tell you what's inside. Also remember, stories from our culture need to be retold. And they have to be made exciting. Now, there is a new normal in content creation and storytelling called immersion. What is immersion? A tale within a tale within a tale, which is our epics. Every culture, the epic, mythological, epic storytelling is a tale within a tale within a tale. I think that is what will create interest once they feel involved with the storytelling. And again, shed off the intellectualism. Make stories simple and make them honest. Tell them the way they need to be told, Don't have this thing, oh, now I want to give so much of knowledge. The knowledge will come on its own. Make it simplistic. Write this. I don't know whether this book is, how do I describe my own baby? But I was conscious to write it exactly the way Akku speaks, which is simple. The language has to be simple, it has to be attractive, and there should be a relationship. Remember, all over the world, when children find relationship with something, when they find that this is a tale about people, characters that they immediately know, a mama, a papa, a grandfather, a grandmother, their neighborhood, their school, their childhood, people they love to play with, children who are a part of their lives, they immediately react to it positively and they get attached to it.
That's changed
And in
from
Hindi, don't give global gyan. Don't give global knowledge. Keep it local and keep it relatable.
Yeah, well said. So my next question is, in the world of Akku's imagination, anything is possible,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So what's one thing you wish you could change about the world around you, and how would you change it?
If we could just stop fighting, if
But
we
that's
could
not
just
possible.
being angry, look at a child's world. There will be a disagreement on a toy, but the moment the attention goes to something else, the disagreement goes away. We as adults become so egotistical, and we become so attached to disputes. Why is there so much disquiet in the world? Why are there wars? There's so many times she asks me, why are people arguing so much with each other? Because in her world, in her life, in her vision, people will talk to each other and they will find a resolution. Look at, if there's a ball, a red colored ball, you also want it, I also want it. We will argue with each other. We will not break each other's head for it. So if children can find resolution, why do we complicate it so much? So what can I change? I would want a world which is inclusive, which is honest, and where we are not fighting with each other and we are not warring against each other. And I think most children are children of peace. All children are children of peace. And they think that there is always a resolution for a disagreement. And that is why they forget easily. They don't keep it within themselves. Now, he looked at me like that. She looked at me like that. This is what she said to me. Oh my God. All this is not a part of their consciousness.
So don't you think whatever they see in the house or in the school, that's what they learn? If there's argument in the house, they will learn argument. So when we say that, they shouldn't be doing this, they shouldn't be doing this, the first thing, we shouldn't be doing this as well.
It's all a
Isn't it?
rounded argument.
Yeah, exactly.
I just said,
So
I
the
just said,
emotions, the
Ajay,
expressions-
practice what you preach.
Preach, exactly.
You will get angry at each other. You will use wrong language against each other. You will hurt each other. And remember, a child sitting in a corner reading a book is not just one person who's not paying attention. He's got a multi-dimensional antenna which will pick up every single stimulus around him or her. And 2 days later, so you will say, oh, somebody's called. Tell that person I'm not there. 2 days later, Mama's saying she's not there.
Yeah, that's what happens.
So it's very simple. We have to be role models for them. The way we also want them to become, inspiration for people around them. If we will be wrong or if we will be incorrect in our own understanding of their childhood, our understanding of their childhood, then it's going to be a mess. We have to correct ourselves. We are the ones who have to step up, and we should be, walking hand in hand with those little balls of fire. They're amazing. I mean, look at the amount of observation children have. But what do we do? Oh, no, this one will not understand. That is not. This constantly, either we talk down to them or we bark orders at them. We never talk to them as humans, as little observant people. Their opinions don't matter in our world, whereas our opinions are always supreme for them. How unequal is that relationship?
And it definitely affects the mental health as well.
Absolutely.
Because look at the world going through right now.
So much
and
of
like
disruption.
the depression,
Oh my
the
God.
anxiety, it's all there.
Yeah.
We can't hide these things anymore.
So
we should spread this.
We
like,
should take
It's not a
inspiration
disease,
from them.
Yeah.
We talk about inspire. That's why we are at the book fair. The beauty of this book fair is that books are so inspirational, but we can only inspire them if we learn to get inspired from them. Children are great gurus. I'm again saying, you cannot have a better teacher than a child in your life.
And we must answer every question.
Absolutely.
There's no question which is wrong. or
Absolutely.
Right, So
Absolutely.
A question is a question.
Judgment,
Right?
constantly
Exactly.
judging.
Yeah,
You are wrong, I'm right. That's an ego. I mean, it's terrible that we don't even accept the little innocent sort of questions and observations they have with people around us and ourselves. They have observations about us, we don't accept them.
And tell me, it's just a personal question now. So, or maybe the audience, if somebody wants to write something, okay, is there any mantra for that? Is it maybe, okay, I don't know how to write, but I love to write. So there's a very, very thick line in between the two sentences. But then what inspires someone to write? Because everybody has expressions, everybody has a story to tell. Everybody goes through problems, ups and downs. So how do, once somebody starts writing, what motivates them to write?
All beautiful stories are born out of truth and honesty.
So there's no fiction?
No.
Yeah.
I just remained true to the story of my own life, of my own daughter, of my own akku. And that is what gave me this book. Remain true to your own self and remain true to your storytelling. There will never be a right way or a wrong way of writing a book. There will never be a right way or a wrong way of telling a story. A story is a story, but it only remains relevant till you remain truthful towards it. Only truth is what makes it go forward.
Beautiful. So that's a beautiful sentence you just mentioned last, but because a lot of people are there up there who would like to write, So maybe you can
There
put
is
something.
no MBA in writing.
Yeah,
As yet, we
that's
don't
very sad
have.
though, but then,
There is no MBA in writing, but just remain true to your own self, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody has that inbuilt, that secret art of writing, but then people need motivation. So the world we live in, like there's a lot of negativity, there's a lot of incidents which happen every day in our life, which demotivates them to write something, right? So do you think the films do inspire? Because I'm talking about Bollywood now, the Indian cinema. The life revolves around it. Whether it's fashion, whether it's food, whether it's lifestyle. Why do we want to? We all talk about during the young age, love stories, right? So we do inspire because there's nothing called love story. That's on the screen. It never happens personally, not in your life. I don't think so. Anybody has exact love story which you see on screen. So what exactly it is?
It's
Why do
just-
we still believe it's not true, but we still believe it?
Ajay, it's just a slice out of our lives.
Yeah.
Remember, it's a mirror to society. When you are feeling anger or angst towards something, you will get a Amitabh Bachchan, you will get a Diwar. When you feel that there is something that the youth is not able to encapsulate on the third, we are meeting with the iconic director of Rang De Basanti, you will get a Rang De Basanti. So all stories are reflection of our lives and our society and our being. And why do films become so inspirational? Because remember, cinema is not a monolithic medium. It's an amalgamation of a multidisciplinary approach like theatre. There's literature, there is music, there is design, there is great architecture. There's many, many things which make that one art, one craft called cinema or theatre. And those stories are real. Remember, fiction also ceases to remain fiction when it reaches the people because it becomes a lived-in reality. What is inspiration at the end of the day? You feel motivated by something because you find relationship with that story. You find relationship with the way that story is being told. That's why actors become demigods. Rather, I would say, there is a big journey of creators which remain unsung. Thank God in big film festivals, very soon there'll be the Cannes Film Festival where I was in 2022. It is the medium of the actor and the producer and the person. For example, if you will not publish a book, how will my book reach an audience? So this is a kind of a collaborative journey, but cinema is deeply impactful. Remember that large screen, we have a very large screen behind us, impacts us, inspires us, motivates us because it's a part of our life. Right? Yeah. Fantasy is also a part of our life, though I am very resistant, and that's why this is real-time writing, and I think we've been peddling too much fantasy towards children, but all this is the same journey which is within us. We dreamt about it, or we thought about it, or we wanted to be romantic like that, or we wanted to get angry about something, and we wanted to vent out. All these stories, cinematic journeys, are journeys of human existence. They are journeys of human life. They're journeys of people, men, women, societies, cultures. That is why they remain inspirational. Also, when you see something larger than life, you feel very connected to it. Remember that there is a lot of dreaming which goes into the creation of a story which is larger than you. But remember, also, it can be true to its time. Look at the cinema which is happening right now. It's all reflecting, post the pandemic and the perilous time, lot of stories are reflecting human endeavor and human emotion the way we felt it in those really bad 2, 3, 4 years. So whether it's a book or whether it's a film, whether it's a piece of theater or a great symphony orchestra, all these are artistic expressions of our life. So this is an ongoing journey. As we say, the argument continues.
Okay. But thank you, Vani, for accepting to come here because you are extremely busy, I know. You travel various countries altogether. So thank you, Abu Dhabi International Book Fair organizers, which has given us an opportunity to talk about this lovely book.
Thank you so much, really. I mean,
Elephants Be Read.
Yeah,
so I guess everybody should buy
Thank
this
you
book.
so much, friends.
It's very visual. It's affordable. I think it's read by all age group. So, and the book is available here. The book is available at a bookstore, which is Om Books International. And she's here to sign as well. If anybody wants author signed copy, she would love to do that. So,
but thank you so much, the people who stayed back for the session.
Yeah, I know it's the end of the evening, so we had less presence, but it's an effort, right?
But thank you so much for bringing me here, Ajay. You are a great inspiration yourself, and of course the Abu Dhabi International Book Fair. We are the 4th country and a new 4th country to be here. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here.